Hi everyone again, and welcome. I'm excited to talk to you about Swift macros. So now we'll be diving into how Swift macros work, what they're used for, and how they dramatically can change our experience when we write the code. Actually, this technology has a big potential. So I am Anna. I am iOS engineer here in Truecaller. I haven't added my LinkedIn, but I added my picture from Barcelona. So let's talk about macros. They arrived in Swift 5.9, and they are a game changer how we write the code. Their core macros enable compile time code generation, which dramatically reduces boilerplate code, those repetitive patterns that we all don't like. This improves maintainability, readability, and crucially, Swift macros provide type-safe metaprogramming. So it means that compiler will check your generated code, and you will not introduce any new bugs to your project. Basically, macros are divided into two big groups, freestanding and attached. We will get back to it soon, but what is important to know that attached macro is usually like works with something, should be attached to something like a class struct or property, and freestanding is a little bit more independent on that way. It can be declared independently. So depending on how you want to use the macro, depending on macro's goal, there are different types, declaration, expression, accessor. Today we will pay attention, a little bit of attention on extension macro and peer macros. Let's look a little bit on the architecture of how macros work. It starts with your client code, and then where the macro is where you use the macro, and then it goes to the macro definition. Here it defines the interface and type. This sits in your apps module, and then it goes to macro implementation module, where all the logic of code generation happens, and for the security it's located into the separated module. The whole macro expansion happens at compile time. It uses abstract Swift syntax tree, and it takes your source code as an input and produces new code in separate process, and it uses Swift syntax for manipulation. Let's check one of the examples. If you use Swift UI in some of your projects, probably you've seen this preview macro. So one of main features of Swift UI is when that you can see the view when you're building, and it is done by macro. So Apple team introduced this macro for us. This is freestanding declaration macro. Let me show actually how it looks in Xcode. So here, this is something else, but this is project not related to Truecaller, obviously. This is just a simple hello world view, and here we see the preview macro, and we can expand it, and we can see here that it creates a struct which follows the protocol and implements this make you function, where with the view builder it returns our content view. So let's get back to the presentation. So what I wanted to do myself, I wanted just to play around it and create my own macro, which will serve this goal. Like, you know, when you have like separate packages, a lot of types, and you will definitely at some moment need to map them a lot. And this is one of the things that can be generated actually. And I used attached macro to this. So first we need to define like the macro definition. So here we see that in the at the top of the screen we see that this macro is attached, and this is public external macro, and its logic resides in a true macros impl module. And the usage is that you just write one line above the struct that you want to map to, and that's it. And then it generates the extension. And let me go back to Xcode and actually show how it will work. So here I have this macro declaration, macro implementation, and we will go through it a little bit later. And here I have user struct that has ID, name, phone number, eye color, anything, and I need to map those data to this user DTO. And after I quickly build the project, I can expand this macro and see that mapping happened. And now if it was built already, and now if I want to add like one more property, then I can quickly build it and yeah, it worked. So yeah, this is how practically we can use macros, but let's go through it, like through the whole implementation, just step by step. So here we are having a package Swift file. This is essential for setting up a Swift package that includes macros. You need to add Swift syntax to dependencies, and then in targets you need identify your macro and add Swift syntax macro and Swift compile plugin as a dependency. And then we are going to the implementation. It's a little bit of code, but don't worry, I will go through it like step by step. So this code defines the automapper macro struct, which conforms to extension macro protocol. This protocol requires to implement the expansion function, which is where the generation logic resides. First, what we are doing, we need to check if the macro is attached to a struct. If not, we are throwing an error. It ensures that macro is used correctly. Then we need to extract the type what was passed to this automapper macro. So we are adding this line automapper from what type. So in our example, it was user struct. Then we need to extract properties of the struct that we are mapping to. So it goes inside our user DTO struct and goes through all the properties, and here we can see it. And then we are just generating the initializer code. We are going through the properties and assigning them. Here we need to get the name of our struct that mapper is attached to. In our case, it's user DTO. And then here is the core of our implementation. Here we are generating extension and adding our mapping logic. And then we just return in declaration syntax, and that's it. So it's simple as that. So yeah, this technology has a huge potential, and I've been thinking about like what we can use macros for. One of the ideas is maybe we can make this automatic property wrappers. The things that I'm playing around now. So this macro will just add getter and setter, and we do not have to write it anymore. And then, for example, if we have our code tested, probably we need to write a lot of mocks. And in this case, this also can be generated by macro. And we will see this mock only we will expand the macro, but it will be hidden in the code. So it will be very easy to read the code as well. So we can use macros only for that stuff that we want to hide, like mappers. Like we do not need to see them like every day. It's just, it's just a lot of lines. While Swift macros offer many benefits, it's important to be aware of some challenges. So complexity, as you've seen in this automapper macro implementation, it's a little bit, it might be a little bit complex to write and debug because it's not how we used to use Swift. And we need to understand this Swift syntax tree. And then, since it is happening at compile time, it can be a little bit difficult to debug it, of course. Macros can be tested, but it's another topic of discussion. Then if you have, if your MacBook is a little bit older, then you might face the performance issues because it will generate the code during compiling, and it can go not good, align not good with the performance. And also, like if we need macro to work correctly, as you've seen in my implementation, I'm throwing the errors a lot. So it's just to make sure on which step something done is incorrectly, because like at any minute Apple can change something in this Swift syntax tree, and we need to go there, learn a little bit, and change those. So I do not recommend wipe coding for macros, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it is the thing that we should sit and learn. But yeah, hopefully in the future it will get better. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Hello, so we have any questions for Anna?
Thank you, Anna. Great talk. Obvious question, maybe. What macros did you write for the Truecaller app, if any?
I'm still in process, so maybe we will use mapping macro, maybe something else. But although it has like huge potential, but for example, we can face a little bit of difficulties. For example, let's imagine you have a big project, and then you need to map one type to another type. Then we need to make sure that we have like a common space somewhere, like shared space to this type. Otherwise, we need to import one package to another package, and if you are
having types in interface, then it will be difficult, because usually importing interface package to interface to the interface is like not a very good practice. So I would say that implementing it in a big project can be still a little bit challenging.
I really liked your mock idea. I'm definitely going to steal that. But one thing might not be very clear. In your presentation, you showed that it was a normal Swift package, but it does work in a normal iOS app or macOS app as well.
Yeah. It should work like as long as you use Xcode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had the exact same question as his first question. So
Yep, thank you for the presentation. I wanted to see if you have, because I saw that you used a string literals for generating the code. I was thinking if you have had experience using CodeGen for that instead.
Yeah, actually, it might maybe work, but no, I do not have that experience.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much for the talk. Quick question. Did you find any sort of resources, like any sort of cheat sheets or something like that regarding the syntax itself? Because every time I've tried to do Swift macros, it's basically been, I have no idea how to figure out which part of the AST this is supposed to be, and it's basically, that's kind of been the holdback. Have you found any sort of thing for that?
Yeah, actually, to learn about macros, I think we need to take like information just bit by bit from all the sources. And yeah, unfortunately, there is no like clear explanation. Just sit and learn. I've been like reading a lot and taking it like from all open sources. And of course, it's quite new thing. So yeah, it can be a little bit challenging, and I've been trying vibe coding even, it did not help. So yeah, with tries and mistakes, it came.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for a great talk.
Thank
I'm a bit curious about like when would you choose to create a macro versus to use other tools in the Swift language, like inheritance protocols, utility functions? Like when would you consider to, because I created a mocking package, and it's just abusing the Swift type system to make it do what I want. Well, this is generating code to avoid typing it. So when would you choose to create a macro versus to use the type system?
Mm. I think I would say my main goal is to keep my code simple and maintainable. So when I see that my macro becomes like a little bit too complex, that is covering like all possible cases, then I think that maybe I'm doing like something wrong. So yeah, for now, like using macros or not using macros is like pure intuitions. There are no like strict rules about that. But what I'm thinking about that for the most probably like simple stuff, we can start using macros, and then if it goes like a little bit more complex, we still cannot rely on this code generated stuff. Sometimes we need yeah, to follow some specific logic, and it might not be a good idea to cover it with code generation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
hey, I'm curious. Can you use macro inside macro? Is it possible?
Yeah, actually, what what I've been reading recently, it is possible. I haven't tried that yet, but from the books that I read, I know that it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a question. I have a small tip. I don't know who asked about like tips about how using macros. There is a website that's called swift-st-explorer.com that if you pass your code there, it will build a very nice AST tree, like Swift tree for you. So you will see actually like each variable, each property, each method, how they consist, how exist inside the Swift tree. Swift dash AST dash explorer dash .com.
When this macro is run during compile time and you get an error in your generated code, is it connected back to the source code of your macro in any good way, or do you have to guess?
So when you have any errors, your project might be built still, but then macro won't work, and you will not be able to use it. And then if you go there and expand the macro, the Xcode will highlight the lines where the possible issues might be, but sometimes it also has some mistakes. So it's nice to add error handling into error handling logic into your macro by yourself.
All right. Any more questions?